Thought I'd do a quick little blab about pallet wood and what you can do with pallet wood. Now, a lot of what I've done here in my garage here is not pallet wood. I bought a lot of these 2x4s from the hardware store, but they're cheap. They're like two or $3 for an 8-foot 2x4, and I did all this shelving here. The screws were probably more expensive. Make sure you put the right screws into the ceiling. They got to be big enough to hold. You can see I kind of this is my first shelf here. I had to kind of reinforce it, but as I went along, I got better at doing it and got a little smarter in what works. I found that screwing the screw up this way into the wood is a much stronger way to do it. And if you look up and the way I put it into the ceiling, you can see that what I've done here. Right here you can see I've bolted it to the side that way. Now that's not as strong because that's going to pull that piece, and that 2x4 could crack. I mean, it's not going to crack, but if you really put a ton of weight, that's where it's going to break. So what I started to do is I started to bolt the wood this way. If you look right there, that piece goes up to that piece 2x4, and there's a bolt that comes down into this piece here instead. So if this was to break away, it would have to come all the way through that piece of wood. It would have to pull the screw through the hole, and it not necessarily meaning it's going to crack the wood. It could crack the wood, but it's more about pulling that screw through the wood. This way here, you're not pulling the screw through. You're bending the screw, and that if that 2x4 breaks there, or that if the screw breaks, because it's being bent. To me, that didn't feel as strong. So this way here, and then you're bolting that other piece of 2x4 up. The only disadvantage is that when you put these up, you have to kind of build it and then attach it to the ceiling. Where this way here, you can just screw those 2x4s to the ceiling and then attach your pieces there. So I also like the way this looks better. It's a little more cleaner. You don't see any bolts there. With this one here, you see the bolts on the outside. So that's a lot of this was done with pallet wood. These right in here, all this the shelving here, that's all pallet wood along there. So I mean, it's not hugely expensive. I could have used some kind of cheap wood, but this was free. It's a lot of work kind of pulling the pallet apart, but I thought it was a good idea at the time, and I had some time, and I learned about how hard it is. It's a lot of work pulling a pallet apart, and doing it without breaking all the wood. But there you go. Those are the kind of things. I also made. You can make wood. There's a lot of stuff online with guys making projects with pallet wood. I made this little stool here. I mean, this is I got lucky and I got some really nice pallet wood. It was really kind of I think it's red cedar, and I got a bunch of red cedar in my backyard that I'm using for a little project I had. But this little thing is as solid as can be, and this is in hindsight the way I built it. It's got this exposed screws and all that sort of stuff. I didn't have any fancy tools, and those ones where you put the angle in and screw it in like that. It's just a cheap old bench here, and but it's free. I mean, and it was fun to build. The only major tool that I needed, obviously, is a saw. I use a chop saw, so it's very fast and easy. But a cordless drill. These are a must-have. This is an impact drill. So, you know, once it goes in, it's this thing is worth its weight. And you can't use the hammer drill. You must use a impact drill, and that'll drive your screws and lag bolts really deep into the wood without stripping the head of your screws, and you'll be able to drive that really deep into the wood quite easily. So there you go. There's a little blab on what you can do with pallet wood. Thank you for watching.